What's going on, you daters? It's actually really applicable to this one. We're one last session of the night. Now, obviously, this probably won't be the last video of these because I'm really enjoying them. But one last session of the session you've watched me like do 15 times in a row by now of r/ask Tinder of what is your worst dating experience. Now, the battery in the DJ pocket is quite low, so we do need to get into this. So, without any further ado, let's get into it right away. So, today's story is coming to you from Buppa. I don't know. Okay, from 2 years ago. Not mine, but my friend had a spectacular flop that I helped with. Please tell me more. Years ago, my friend had been chatting/flirting online with a girl who lived about a 3-hour drive away. Now, I would like to comment on that. So, a 3-hour drive away is a little bit much, but I have done that before. I will tell you that a lot of, in my experience of a girl that's like, hey, I'm about 2.5, 3 hours away, but I would love to hang out and meet you, basically just want to have sex. Because you're not going to take it super serious. You never start a relationship long distance. You start it, and then if it goes long distance, it actually holds because you have had a relationship. Okay? Just saying. And obviously I would think that these are two males about this female. Okay? After months of chatting with her, he finally wanted to go meet her, so they agreed to meet at a local to her music show. So something that was in her area, he would drive the 3 hours up. Super interesting that I've talked about this before, but the months of chatting online is really ridiculous. But I can actually understand a little bit more that, okay, she is 3 hours away. It's not like I'm going to make that commute anytime soon. I could, but it might look really desperate if I do so. So interesting play. I can't say too much about that, but I'm sure it's going to get very more interesting here. And I think the music show is going to be interesting because it sounds like, I don't know if this means like it's a concert, like an outdoor concert. So I think we'll proceed. Since it's a long drive, I offered to accompany my friend as he was glad to have me to join for their initial meet and greet. Okay, so I guess the friend's going to be there for the meet and greet. Okay. Or he's just driving him. Either way, that's really nice of the friend, even if he went out and got a coffee and was like, hey man, I'm going to go have a beer. I'm going to tour around. You do your thing. We drive the 3 hours, get to the show. Okay, so he does go to the show with the friend. And it's a bunch of terrible local screamo bands, and people are doing that kind of mosh dance thing where they cover their eyes and swing their arms around wildly. That sounds like a mosh pit. I've never been to a mosh pit, but they don't sound like my kind of cup of tea. This immediately sounds like a bad date. Well, and I like that they actually did call it a meet. Yeah, their first meet and greet. So it's not even really a date; it's a meet and greet, especially that the friend's there, and it makes him more comfortable. He's like, "Hey, I'm 3 hours away," and it goes for guys too, man, for safety. It's like, "Hey, I'm in her town. I don't know where I'm at." Okay. Well, my friend is a metalhead and enjoys a regular old pushing and shoving type of moshing, so it's good for the friend apparently. The friend that doesn't mind it. So after a while watching the show and waiting for this girl to show up, he just gets in there and starts flinging kids around, and they react like, "Dude, WTF?" But he's not trying to start anything, just moshing the way he normally would. So it sounds like he kind of just went in the crowd and did what everybody was doing. It's just like maybe he actually was like kind of pushing people around, but just, I don't know, sometimes I mean, I've seen videos on YouTube of mosh pits. That's what apparently they do. Time ticks away, and there's still no sign of the girl. He had a couple of photos of her, but he didn't know what she looked like well enough to ID her in a crowd. We eventually decided to call it since it was getting late, and we suddenly did a drive back. Yeah, that's a really good point. It's like if you go online dating, like it can be a little bit deceiving because you just see pictures of somebody. It's weird seeing them in person because you're like, oh, is that them? Is that person? Right? And especially in a crowd. So it sounds like he got ghosted. But we'll continue on. The next day, he sends her messages about the night before, and she admits she was there and even saw him moshing, but was too afraid to approach him. That's BS. That she was there, saw him, was like, there he is, and he was moshing at a mosh pit. The way literally the buddy's describing it is people are flinging their arms all over the place and all that stuff. That's a mosh pit. He's doing exactly what apparently mosh pits do. And apparently she was afraid. That's bogus. He was both angry and disappointed by that, but not enough to stop chatting with her altogether. Yeah, okay. Another month or so goes by, and they're ready to try again. This time, we meet a little closer at a restaurant in between us. I volunteered to go with him again, since it seemed important. She said she would also bring a friend along, too. Okay, so this is also a really terrible idea and a good idea. So I'll explain why here now. So the fact that he kept talking to her is fine. They've talked for a few months online through texting and stuff like that. Who really cares? 20% battery, by the way. We gotta hurry. But yeah, so that's great. But the fact they're doing like a double date is ridiculous. But at least that they both know, that's fine. So I'm not really a big fan of that. But the fact that they want to meet somewhere a little closer, which is good, it should be like that. It shouldn't be one or the other, like a 3-hour one way or the 3-hour the other way. Meet somewhere in the middle. It's a public location. It's a restaurant. I think that's way better than a crowd or mosh pit. That was a terrible idea. After another long drive, we get to the restaurant, and this time she actually is there. That's great for my friend, except it turns out she is way, way larger than her photos suggested. I don't even know how to estimate the size difference, maybe like 150 pounds more than my friend was expecting based on the photos that she had sent. My friend is stunned in silence. I can tell he is upset, but not letting on the outside of the awkward lack of conversation. Not letting up on outside of the lack of on the awkward lack of conversation. I try to help the discussion along, talking with a friend just to get through lunch. Okay, so they did lunch at the restaurant. She's kind of catfished him. It sounds like maybe she had old pictures and she's probably put on a little bit of weight and she's probably insecure about it. I gotta say, just be upfront and just say, this is who I am. You know, to be like that is like, I can kind of get where this guy's coming from big time. It's really awkward because now you're not comfortable at all. It's not necessarily like, oh, okay, she's too big, I'm not attracted to her. It's that she lied. She literally showed old pictures. She never mentioned anything. And I'm seeing her and it's like, whoa, okay, that's not who I was sent pictures of. Like, that's of a different time. So that's, yeah, I don't like that. And no different if the guy does it. That's terrible. Don't do that. If you had like a different haircut, that's one thing. If you look like noticeably different, that's another. But good on the friend, by the way, for trying to keep the conversation going with the girl's friend as well, to try to keep it going, because there's 4 people, so it's not so awkward. My friend and the girl probably said all of 10 words to each other before we left. Okay, so they barely talked, which is ridiculous. That sounds crazy. After months of chatting online and one previous failed attempt to meet, they had absolutely nothing to say to each other, and when they finally met in person, when we get to the car, he just let out an epic WTF, Clark Griswold type tirade. He thinks maybe she had sent him photos that were from years ago, and that they just weren't her at all. I was ultimately just amused by the situation, despite having invested many hours of driving into the meetups, which is just 2. But it probably was almost close to 6 hours of driving. In just the first one, and then possibly in the second one, maybe possibly a couple hours. And then the bottom is just too long, don't read. So, final comments here. Yeah, so, again, like, we gotta make this fast because the camera's gonna die. But yeah, the fact that he got out to the car and the guy was, like, absolutely pissed, good on him for, like, not freaking out when he was there and being respectful and staying, because the girl sounds like she probably drove a bit to get there as well. So like they both went out of their way to get to the restaurant, and he at least had like he did have the respect and the courtesy to be like, you know, hey, we'll do our thing. But that's absolutely ridiculous. And I absolutely agree. The thing that stands out to me a lot is the line in the last paragraph I just read. So my friend and then the girl probably said all of 10 words to each other before we left. Second line as well. After months of chatting online and one previous failed attempt to meet, they had absolutely nothing to say to each other when they met in person. 2 reasons for that. First one is the most obvious. It's because she completely catfished the guy. So he was very uncomfortable, and he clearly was like, I really don't want to be here right now, but I didn't want to make a scene. I didn't want to just storm out. So he sat down and tried to have the lunch anyway. The second is because they've talked online for so long, and it makes it really, really awkward because you've talked online for all this time. You know everything probably about this girl. He's probably asked her. He probably knows her favorite movies. He probably knows what favorite color she has. She probably knows what kind of car she drives. He knows what she does for a living and what her future plans are. You know, like he's going to know everything, because that's what happens when you talk online for months. You have to talk about something, so you talk about anything. He'll have everything. So what do you talk about in person? Nothing. What a fail, dude. Man. I've been that, and that's what I mean. Like, I just say this stuff. Like, I'm not like some like Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro, right? Like, I'm just a guy that's just done a lot of online dating, a lot of it. And I can just tell you from my experiences exactly like how I relate to that scenario, because I've done this. I've talked online for months and months and months with girls and then met them and then be like, whoa, we got nothing to talk about, because I can't be like, so what do you do for a living? I'm like, oh, I already know. Right? Oh, what's your favorite thing to do in your spare time? Oh, I already know, right? It's ridiculous. Props to him for doing it, but my God, man. All right, anyway, Cameron's going to die. Take it easy. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to see you in the next one. I'm going to keep doing these because I enjoy them, and hopefully you guys enjoy them too. I'm not going to be like one of those guys that's like, if you guys want to like and subscribe, comment down below, just so I know to keep making these. I'm just going to keep making them whether you like them or not. So take it easy. Thanks for watching.